दाइ स्वागत छ.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
एकदम थ्याङ्क यू सो मच फर कमिङ अन बोर्ड. अब उजय दाइको बारेमा भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क एउटा वर्ड भन्ने पनि काफी छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई, आउटरिच होइन. बिकज दाइले यसरी एउटा सिस्टम ड्रिभन बिजनेस बिल्ड गर्नुभएको छ कि लास्ट टाइम पनि कुरा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ मेरो अप्रोच नै म सेकेन्ड हो ब्रान्ड ठुलो हो भन्ने हिसाबमा चाहिँ आई थिङ्क आउटरिच द फाउन्डर एन्ड एमडी सिइओ हजुर के भन्नुहुन्छ?
म्यानेजिङ डिरेक्टर भन्छु होइन, फाउन्डर एन्ड म्यानेजिङ डिरेक्टर एट आउटरिच. कति 22 वर्षको एक्सपिरियन्स दाइ? एडभर्टाइजिङ प्रोफेसनमा चाहिँ 22 इयर्स भयो. 2000बाट सुरु गरेको.
2000बाट धेरै समय हो नि होइन 22 वर्ष भनेको?
धेरै हो नि होइन, 2 डिकेड्स होला परिवेश
होइन. मलाई भन्नु ल. अनि यो दाइ एडभर्टाइजमेन्ट इन्डस्ट्रीमा काम गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ यु गेट टु वर्क विथ सो मेनी ब्रान्ड्स, यु हेभ टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड कन्ज्युमर साइकोलोजी अफ सो मेनी डिफ्रेन्ट निस होइन. सो 22 वर्षमा त एक किसिमले पछाडि फर्केर हेर्दाखेरि त त्यो हुन्छ नि एउटा देशको इकोनोमीको युथको मान्छेको सोच्ने तरिकाको त एउटा वेभै फिल हुन्छ होला कि कसरी चेन्ज भएको छ, कसरी इन्सेप्ट गरेर आएको छ आइडियाजहरू भन्ने हिसाबमा के.
Obviously, we deal with human psychology. Eventually, all brands caters to consumer requirements or consumer pain points. Brands wants to be a solution providers to the consumer pain points, and all those brands are actually created for humans, right? Like it could be niche, it could be mass, but then we as a human is also going through this journey, transformational journey, like the way I think the time when I started my career 2000 ma, obviously mom afai pani relatively young the, inexperienced. Thank you very much. Versus in last 20 years, things have changed so much, right? Even in terms of media touch point. When I started my career, there were a handful of newspapers. I think not 5-6 television channels,
Kantiburko history 25 years ago.
I think so. And then maybe few radio stations, to अहिलेको सिनेरियो त्यही ट्रेडिसनल मिडियाहरू पनि हेर्ने हो भने पनि there are so many newspapers, magazines, magazines catering to certain niche, certain audiences. Radio हेर्ने भने like across Nepal, they say that there are more than 200 FM stations, right? Similarly, television हेर्ने हो भने नेसनल च्यानलै मेरो विचारमा आजको दिनमा 15वटा भन्दा बढी भइसक्यो जस्तो छ हैन. And they are segmentized in terms of news, movies, entertainment, a lot of other different kind of programs. And then in between the age of internet, right? Who can deny that? And the revolution that technology has brought to us in terms of consumer, as a consumer, how it has changed our lifestyle, right? It's so difficult to now say who is competing with whom भन्ने कुरै कन्फ्युजन भइसक्यो क्या because of technology. For example, अब आजको दिनमा भात भटिनीको कम्पिटिटर को त? Is it just the राम दाईको दोकान जो मेरो घर बाहिर छ या हैन, गीता दिदीको पसल जो नेबर स्टोर हो कि या अरू अलिकति मोडर्न ट्रेड फर्मेटमा आएको बिग मार्ट के मार्ट जस्तो हो कि या दराज या सस्तो दिल जस्तो एप हो. They all sell same product, right? And then but the technology has made us life so easy that in the palm of your hand you can actually buy anything, and you don't even have to go to Bhatini or even your neighborhood store, right? Even when it comes to hotels, like you can book your hotels sitting here right now. If I'm traveling tomorrow, I can just do it right away.
Or you could simply go to Airbnb.
Yeah, Airbnb. That is also there. Or for that matter, there's a thing called Oyo Room in this region, right?
Yes.
So all that thing is happening. So similar in context to advertising, branding, marketing. There's a whole transformational journey from where I started to what it is today. And I'm sure it is going to change further from here as well. Therefore,
it has to.
It has to, and it is a continuous learning process for all of us. But certain basics will remain same. Like for example, human emotions. Human emotions the same. If we feel very happy also, we feel like crying, right? If we feel very sad also, we feel crying. Isn't that so?
Ekdam.
If you see some very good story, it touches you, right? If you meet an old friend, after many years also, it touches you.
Ekdam.
Isn't that so?
Ekdam.
Therefore, human emotions are going to remain same. Therefore, with the experience that we have, like maybe as a professional that I have for last 22 years, I won't say that we are perfect in terms of understanding the human emotions, but then to a certain extent, we can make it out. But the technology, touch point, platforms will keep on changing.
So when somebody asks you, which business are you in, do you say, I am in emotion business?
हाम्रो आउटरिचको चाहिँ एकदमै क्लियर कट एउटा थिमै छ, thought process that actually I have come across, and we've been trying to follow that theme for last 2 decades. We call ourselves the agency that believes in business-driven creative ideas.
So it's not just about creative ideas, it's a business-driven.
Yeah, it has to give some kind of business results. Business results not always mean that it has to have a direct correlation with the sales, because the business objectives could be different at different point of time. In marketing, we study product life cycle. I don't know if you have done marketing, you might have come across this terminology.
Yes.
Therefore, there is an introductory phase, there's a growth phase, there's a maturity phase, and then again, every brand, every person, every business goes to degrowth as well. When it goes to degrowth, at that point of time, you have to reignite the brand or the idea that you have, so that it again go to a growth phase, right? Therefore, looking at the stages of the product life cycle or brand life cycle, you decide what is the objectives, right? Basis that objectives, you create a campaign, and if those campaigns are able to meet those objectives, then we are successful. It doesn't, like I said, has to be correlated with sales. It could be the objective could be something like changing a mindset of the consumer. Like, let's say a consumer is brushing a teeth once a day, but now we want consumer to brush it twice a day. Suppose if we are able to even communicate that to the consumer in a rightful manner, that's it. Therefore, there could be different objective. Basis that objective, we create campaigns, and if the campaigns are able to meet those objectives, then we are successful. Therefore, we call it business-driven creative ideas. Like you said, if it is a nice creative work, we can hang it in the wall like this.
It's an art.
It's an art, and people can appreciate, people can like it. But if it doesn't give a business result, it doesn't make sense.
How important is it to not just communicate but also convince? For example, communicating with somebody to brush their teeth twice is one part of a business, right? But convincing them is what will drive the business results to you, to the people who you work with. I mean, like to the clients, to the brands. So, त्यस्तो differentiation, त्यस्तो आजकल जस्तै for example 2020 almost 2023 हैन. So how has how has the consumer psychology changed in last 22 decades? But now, since everything has become so data driven, how has clients been evolving your last 22 years? कस्तो हुन्थे र आजको दिनमा चाहिँ कस्तो छन्?
A lot of time, like I said, certain brand could be in a maturity stage in India or the evolved markets, but when it comes to Nepal, it might be in an introductory phase or a growth phase. It depends upon the brand's relationship with the consumer in that particular market. Right? Therefore, if it is in an introductory phase or a growth phase, most probably awareness become a prime driver for all the campaigns, right? But if it is a maturity phase, or suppose if it is going to degrowth and we need to revitalize to again bring that growth back to the brand, then only awareness doesn't help. I know of many brands, I cannot name it here, which even I work, like for, they have almost like 80%, 90% awareness in this market. But then the business is not as per that percentage, If you have 90% awareness, you also want to be around that, right?
Somewhere around.
And it is not possible. Therefore, in that context, the objectives changes, The objective is not awareness. The objective is relevance.
Or sales.
Sales is the result of all the work that we do. Therefore, I wouldn't say that we can exactly guarantee sale. Nobody can do that. But I think after a certain point in the product life cycle or a brand life cycle, relevance becomes important. Relevance of that brand to the consumer's life. Therefore, how to build that relevance is a key. In that context, what becomes important is maybe you create some kind of brand salience, so that a consumer or a user or a target audience or target group, whatever we call it, become a fan of your brand, become an advocate for your brand, right? Therefore, it depends upon where the brand is and what the business objective is.
Now, again, if I have to ask you the same question from a different perspective, how strong do you think Nepalese consumers have a brand loyalty? Because I listen to people saying in Nepal, brand loyalty, it's such a price-driven market, so people will easily go for cheaper alternatives if they can promise the same level of quality. So, do you see, after working for the last 22 years plus, brand loyalty ko gravity kati ko cha Nepalma?
I agree to a certain extent, like at least when I started my career, the loyalty was relatively less, because we being one of the least developed country or underdeveloped country, whatever we call it, like the family income level is relatively low. Therefore, price plays an integral part. That is always there. But having said that, once the market, it also depends upon which category of brand, which category your brand caters to. Like suppose if your brand caters to a middle class, or upper class, then maybe this logic might not work. Okay, for example, like the economy become more vibrant when there is, larger chunk of middle class, and that is what is happening with countries like India. If you see India, if you go to Indian markets today, you see it's very, very vibrant. A lot of big brands are there. If you go on a weekend to some of these big brand stores, like I was just there in India 2 days back, I saw that even the bigger stores like Zara, SMN, and Mark and Spencer, it's like free-ma saman becha jasto, okay? People are buying things like that.
It's like crazy. Okay.
Crazy, in bigger cities. Therefore, I was just wondering, how is this possible? Like, saman ko paisa tirala pani 1 ghanta line ma basnu parne jasto, okay? Therefore, I decided to, even I have picked up few things, but I decided not to buy it because 1 ghanta ko line ma baser गर्ने,
So, actually, provided that if you are playing on a premium level, brand loyalty would be much higher because price.
Of course, that plus once you have a larger chunk of middle class, middle class भनेको कस्तो भन्दा चाहिँ job holders, professionals हरू जति बढ्दै जान्छ सोसाइटीमा हैन, the brand loyalty increases, and therefore if your brand is trying to cater to that middle class society or upper class, the loyalty is higher because they can afford to do that, right?
Yes.
But of course, if you are catering to lower end and the mass end, then of course it is driven by tactics, tactical we call it, or the prices.
True. I recently, I would not name the brand, but that I've seen this in noodles industry right now in Nepal, how the consumer has completely changed the choice of
exactly
noodles.
Fantastic. You pointed out the exactly very good example where the noodle used to be a very price sensitive market at some point of time, because I have worked in that category. as well, like very aggressively in some of the key brands as a agency partner. But if you see some of these noodles brands, when I go to a market test, these are relatively expensive, almost in a price bracket of 50 rupees.
Yes.
But still people are buying that, just because now the taste has changed or the presentation, or I think that's what, like.
Is it a lack of understanding of a producer to understand that the consumer might also be willing to buy a bit higher price of the product? Because I think for a pretty long amount of time, noodles has always been cheap, affordable, easy to eat, and something.
I think, like I said before, they were trying to cater largely to the mass audience across pan Nepal.
Okay.
But I think at some point of time, somebody came in between and realized that there is a bigger chunk of market also in the middle class and the upper societies. I'm sure these expensive noodles are being sold from the modern trade,
True.
where the middle class and the professional peoples like ourselves goes,
True.
Therefore, they understand, they have this taste from other markets, other countries, because they've been traveling to different countries and tasted different other noodles, and they realize that, like, that could be also nice.
This, like, everything is a mix of theory and practice, and there is a in marketing we say 5P of marketing and 1P is pricing, right? But as an agency, as a marketer, we never get to control the price of the product or the service that we are trying to communicate to the consumer. Does that bother you at times, because you might be creating a campaign for a product, but deep inside you are not convinced with the price it is going to the consumer end?
No, there are discussions at times with some clients with regard to all the P's, though as the agency we are not supposed to work on all those P's.
True.
Right? We are only supposed to work on the promotional part of the P. Therefore that side of story is there. But a structured client or an organized client, I would rather say, would take the input of their agency partner, because they take agency not just as another vendor, but as a partner, right? And most of the successful brands across the world, if you see, like some of the brands that even I can name from the global market, called Nike, let's say, or for that matter, even Coca-Cola, these brands over years have been successful also because of the relationship they have with the agency, a very long-term relationship.
True.
Like, for example, if I'm not wrong, if I remember it correctly, Nike works with Whedon and Kennedy, WK, like that agency for many years, and that agency is the one who came up with this idea of just do it.
Okay.
And you can see so many implications of that.
I think that's what you remember with the word Nike, just do it.
Yeah, just do it, right? I think McCann Erickson has more than almost 100 years plus relationship with Coca-Cola as a brand. There are,
to add to the same conversation, I remember reading a case study from P&G, and they have been working with the same agency since last 36 years.
Yeah, most of these, even Unilever brands, like they've been working with same global agency across the world for many years. Therefore, agency client relationship is a very, very special one, and a lot of time people misunderstand that. It's a partnership.
True.
It's a partnership between the brand team and the agency team, and they work for one objective, one single objective at that point of time. And if we are able to meet that objective, both are successful. If we are not able to meet that objective, both are unsuccessful. Therefore, more you learn to work as a partner with the agency, and you trust them more, you share more informations. You also have some fun together, because having fun also bring that comfort zone.
Obviously.
So that they can
be more open.
Yeah, more open and contribute fearlessly when required. There could be mistakes. You also take risks at some point of time.
Obviously.
Not because we are in a very subjective business. Our business of marketing and advertising is not like mathematics, though there is a discussion on data-driven marketing. We'll come to that most probably later. In this business, 1 + 1 is never 2.
Definitely.
It could be 0 or it could be 22.
Yes.
Why 11? It could be 22 as well. Therefore, you have to take a risk as well, right? Therefore, you have to have a mutual, trust and mutual respect in terms of your own expertise, because the agency comes with certain expertise. Within agency also there is different kind of people. Like for example, if you ask me, I'm not a creative person. I'm more of a planning, strategy, and a business side of the agency person, right? But having said that, there is a whole bunch of other people in my team who is largely a creative people.
But I would like to disagree with you on that, because if you are not creative, it would be impossible to manage creative people, right?
No, it's like this. Business of advertising has moved on to become a business of idea. It's not just creative, is the execution of those ideas. Therefore, the idea can come from anyone. Idea can come from a business guy like myself. Idea can come from the creative team. Idea can even come from the receptionist in my office, because if the campaign that we are trying to do is aligned with her as a target audience, and we bring her to the table and sometimes discuss and probe through her life, or try to gain some insights.
Just like it happens in focus group discussion. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And if that insight is giving us some idea, why not? That idea can make it a very large successful campaign for a brand.
Obviously. In last 22 years, has there been anything that has been bothering you, or something that you have not been able to make people understand? Or I don't know, maybe few things, or you keep communicating as a primary communication in terms of like you just said, the relationship between an agency and a brand is a partnership. They are complementing each other. Nobody is competing.
Actually, they are not supposed to compete with each other. That becomes very difficult when client and the agency is competing with each other. It has to be complementing each other. The idea can even come from the client.
Obviously.
But then how to execute it flawlessly is the job of their agency partner. Right? And they work parallelly together. I can understand that even in the client side, they have certain processes and structures. Therefore, they need to take approvals from the bosses, super bosses, or there are certain systems within which structures they have to work. Similar in context of the agency as well. Therefore, if you have an open relationship where you treat each other with mutual respects, then of course.
So is this conversation that you guys do still today, or it is something that clients has already understood pretty well, and the instance is like the feeling of competition never arises, or is it still something that agency people or the people like us struggle?
Do you want to be very open and candid about this?
Yes, right.
First of all, I would like to say that the business of advertising, like the organized business of advertising, let me put it like this, is relatively new in this market, right? I would say that it started in the year 1999, most probably, once JWT, a global agency, put up their shop in this country. Before that, also there were some agencies, But I think the structure way of advertising was taught to us when the global agency came and opened their shop here.
Okay.
Right? Because before that, I think it was largely about creating some production, a copy or a creative for the releases, or maybe selling a space, right? Therefore, I think a global agency, because they have a lot of best practices from other markets, they brought in those thinking. And people like myself, I also worked there in the beginning of my career. Yeah, I started with JWT. I was working with them. So we saw that, how the team is structured, how they work with the client, what are the processes and procedures that are involved, what is the creative brief format, Even the creative brief format was not known. It was not like a digital age that point, right? Because internet was not so accessible, but now everything is accessible. You can always check what is there happening across the world because of digital. But when we started the career, it was not like that. Therefore, all those formats, like all those structures that all came into play, we saw that, right? Therefore, given that situation, I think it's too early to comment to a certain extent, because it's only been 2 decades, right? Yeah, both of the evolved markets, even for that matter in our neighborhood, like India, the global agency came to them 50 years back, Unilever started their own in-house agency, Lintas, I think in India as well, 50 years back. Therefore, they saw that process and procedures, the guidelines, like the briefing format, all before, But for us, I think it's only been 2 decades. The other thing is, like people who work, initially, I suppose, attracting a good talent into an advertising business was also difficult, but things have changed now. You have to understand that people who work in the agency side of the business are also from equally good family.
Obviously.
Right?
Yes.
They just decided to be in the other side of the table.
True.
From the same institute or a better institutes. Right? Education institute I'm talking about.
Unfortunately, I think none of the business colleges, universities offer such degrees, right? Because I think a lot of HR people who work with you, who are performing extremely well in your organization, are people trained by you guys. I mean, like within the on-the-job training, right?
Yeah, it is largely on-the-job training, but they need to have passion. Okay. Therefore, when we look at the talent, to hire, we generally like beside degree, because degree is generally a shame, right, for all of us. Therefore, we look at 2 aspects: Yorachani, open-mindedness to learn new things, and second is the passion for the industry or the profession, because without passion and open-mindedness to learn, nothing is going to happen. Because everybody is learning, even me, like there are so many new things that is happening in this industry, in the marketing ecosystem, and I have to be open-minded to learn about it. Obviously. Like there is the whole new discussion on data, as you know, data-driven marketing and all the other stuff, like these are all new to me as well. If you ask me a certain question on that, most probably I won't be able to answer it properly right now, because I am also new to that. But maybe down the line, next 2 years, I might be well versed. But then there will be something new I need to learn,
So I think we jumped into a different conversation, but then the earlier answer, to sum that up, I think your answer would be the maturity of this market, and you are still patient enough because it just have been 2 decades, and when we compare with India,
I think it's happening, very frankly, when we work with the global clients, because they know how to work with the agency partners, because they've been working with the agency partner across different countries. And they know how to get a good output from the agency. What kind of inputs they expect from the agency. Like in that way, and because they have a structured process, so they they give you that kind of a room to work with you. Yeah.
Today,
I'm sure the domestic clients will also learn in the process.
They have to.
Yeah.
So almost 2023. How do you think our clients, our brands see the marketing? Do they see as an investment, or do they see as an expenses?
It's a catch-22 question. But I think marketing is going to become a central function to all businesses. Be it forget about FMCG. FMCG is central to marketing, right? Even the education institute.
Obviously.
You need a marketing team to make sure that your imagery is right. Even a hospital. You need the marketing team to make sure that your imagery is right. Therefore, marketing is going to become a strategic function. As there are more competitions, as consumers are going to be more aware, as consumer will have more and more information in their palm, the marketing function is going to be the strategic functions.
True. The reason I asked you this question was, at times it bothers me when we work with clients. They come with, they raised a funding, they have a specific fund for OPEX, but then they don't have a marketing budget, and they would want the agency to be working on a very minimal. I mean, dude, this is an investment for you, right? And you have a separate budgeting for your HR, so not you also have a separate budget for marketing. And I think the problem is people see marketing as an expense and not as an investment, right?
Could be for some people, but in an organized business, they generally have a marketing budget allocated. But obviously, the budget is never enough,
True,
as you know.
True.
And idea should not be a constant for a budget. I feel that budget should not be a constant for a good idea. Therefore, that kind of situations will always remain. We always wish that there is more budget than what is offered to us. It is only our professionalism. And like I said, you need to have an open relationship with your client so that we can discuss all this more open-mindedly, so that we can crack some ideas within that budget, and give the results to the objective. I won't even say to the sales, to the objective or some kind of business results, so that the confidence of the top management goes off in terms of when it comes to marketing activities. Because once we start giving good results, obviously the top management will take a marketing function more seriously, and they will most probably allocate more budget.
Again, it's
exactly. It's a discussion of chicken first or egg first.
True. The reason I asked, because once this advertisement and marketing starts to take a step of an investment, I think people will also start to talk about ROI of the investment, because every investment should have its return.
It has to have. So ROI is very, very important.
So at this point of time, when you guys are working with so many structured clients, is ROI is also one of the major topic while discussing the budget, the campaign, and do we even, as a marketer, as a creative people, do we even have to go an extra mile and to talk about, okay, out of this investment, this is what we are expecting return, or the return should not be in terms of sales, it could be in terms of online impression, it could be in terms of reach. So just wanted to get an idea of how clients has been talked, how do you guys talk about ROI when you are creating a marketing campaign?
Like I said, there are different objectives, and depending upon that objectives, the objective could be very subjective, or objective could be very objective as well, right?
Okay.
Therefore, depending upon that, you create your KPIs, right?
Okay.
Key performance indicators.
True.
And if you are able to meet those KPIs, then you perform, right? That's how it is. That's easy as that. And there is a whole discussion of performance marketing as well at this point of time. Therefore, when it comes to digital, it's more easier for us to give those numbers. When it comes to traditional media or other activity or other subjective activities, it's relatively difficult. But not that we cannot give it. There is some ways. Clients also understand that there is lack of data in this market to a certain extent. I'm not saying that there is no data at all.
Do you find that unfortunate? Because while working with traditional media, I think it's out of hunch, I feel.
No, not always. There are ways to do it, and as an agency, we have certain practices in place to kind of give, some kind of indication in terms of how we should plan it. That's the reason we are able to work with the structured client, because all the other global clients, they have these best practices across the world, and sometimes they also bring those best practices to us, and we learn from the client. They tell us that, okay, Ujay or my team, can we do like this, and this could be the KPI in terms of what we need to achieve.
Okay. Now I'd like to take the conversation more towards a part of advertising and marketing that I'm most interested on, that's
Sure.
media. So if you have to, let's say the whole, if you have to put it on a number, let's say in form of percentage, what percentage does media occupy in whole advertising and communication and Markham, let's say, in whole Markham industry? What's the percentage of the media, the creation of media itself?
You mean the content or the dissemination of media?
Well, I mean content.
Okay. In Nepal?
In Nepal, obviously.
Okay. I think in Nepal, the work towards content creation has been relatively less, I wish it is 50-50.
Okay.
It's not the case. I think content creation investment will not be more than 25 to 30%.
Out of the whole marketing.
And the 70%, from my experience, and 70% will be to disseminate
the creative
the content, whatever we have created, to different medium or different touch point, we would call it. Not just media. Anything that touches the consumers is a medium for us.
What is more important? Is it the content or is it the distribution? Is it the production or is it the distribution?
Both.
Without
the content, what will you distribute?
And without the distribution,
without the distribution, what will you do with that content? Right?
True.
Therefore, that's why I told you in the beginning that I wish it was 50-50, you know. That is a kind of approach that we are trying to achieve within outreach group. You know, that's what we are trying our best. We are yet to get there.
In terms of convincing the client.
Convincing the client. Because there are, because of digital, like this opportunity has come in. The opportunity for content has really enhanced and increased. You know, it's not like in the past where you create 30-second ad and then you run it for next 2 years. You know, it will become so monotonous, right? You cannot do that with a digital medium. You need something new every day, right? Or some idea that is going every quarter. You know, therefore, with that idea, you need to have some certain contents that need to be created, and that's already happening to a certain extent. I think when I started my career, it was almost even worse. You know, like maybe content creation was maybe 10-15%, and then major 85% was on disseminations. But it is already changing. I think we've already come to around 30%, 30-70 kind of situations. But I think the best situation with the digital, with the kind of digital landscape that is coming to this country, I feel that it has to go to almost 50-50. And that will happen. Don't worry.
You work with a lot of creators because I think, as you said, every campaign will have regardless of if it is 25 or 50, it will have some form of creators involved to create content, right? You work with tons of content creators, young.
We call them extended partners. We don't call them, Proxim House or this freelance. No, we call them extended because they are also my partners. You know, obviously. Without them, nothing can happen. There are a lot of ideation that we do. They are central of it. You know, every award that we win, you know, within Nepal or outside, we are also celebrating with them.
True.
Yeah. In fact, today evening we are going to celebrate our Flame Award win in Delhi.
Congratulations.
2 days back. Thank you. We won 11 gold and 1 silver, representing Nepal in a foreign global platforms. You know, that's a very proud moment, and we are going to celebrate that today evening. And in fact, we invited most of the content creators who were part of this these winning projects.
Nice. Yeah. I remember you telling me how we won even when the competition were with Bangladesh, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very proud moment.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No, I take it as a very proud, I take this with a lot of pride because these are good work my team has delivered. Of course, with the trust from my clients.
Obviously.
You know, and if you really see when we won in the emerging Asia category, you know, like, and in emerging Asia category there are countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, you know, of course Bhutan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan as well. And if you see Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, at least these 3 countries, they are more organized. You know, they have more global agencies presence than in this market. You know, even in that situation, to win like so many, you know, like award representing Nepal, I feel is a very, very proud moment. And I take this as an opportunity to also thank my clients who have believed in our ideas and help us to execute these ideas, and also all my team members, you know, my extended partners, like I said. It's not just the team member within the agency, the extended partners in terms of production companies, in terms of photographers, maybe even in terms of celebrities or influencers that were part of this campaign, you know, like that has made it possible.
So a lot of extended partners coming together and making it happen.
The agency business is all not just about your own partners, it's also about the extended partner that we have, the rapport that we have with extended partners. If you have a good rapport with extended partner, they will go out of their way to deliver things. Let me give you one example. Like just 2 days back, there was a requirement to deliver an anthem for one of the client. I cannot name the brand. Anthem. Okay. They were creating an anthem, and it was pending till the last moment. And the event is going to start. You know, therefore the extended partner and of course the business lead, people who are responsible for that project from my team, were working till 3 a.m. in the morning to deliver that anthem, because the anthem has to go on air the next day morning. You know. So when you have a good rapport, that is what happens.
And I think that's an additional advantage that you bring to the client side, because it is literally impossible for clients to maintain good relationship with all these stakeholders, all these extended partners, and that's where agency comes in.
Yeah.
Provided that I have a good relationship with Outreach, I actually have a good relationship with all the extended partners that Outreach has been maintaining since decades.
Exactly. And then we don't work on just one project or one category or one client. No, we work with many categories, many projects, many clients, right? Therefore, the kind of the collaboration that we can bring to this table could be huge. Yeah,
obviously
that need to be respected. Yeah,
definitely, which does not get respected at times.
No comments.
Well, our audience are very smart.
Yeah.
So my earlier question was, you work with a lot of content creators, your extended partners, production people. And I think in the last 22 decades, you must probably have seen a huge rise in the newer generation of creators, right? And I think, to quote you a data, the population of Nepal, like 30 million population, we have like the average age is 24.5 or 4. Basically, like maximum people are young.
I agree.
40% of the population is under 18 teens, 70% of the population is under 30. So it's a typical young country with lots of youth.
Yeah.
Right. So because I believe when you started your journey back to 22 years back, that from that point of time to this point of time, all these extended partners, what's the evolution you have been seeing, and do you find the young creators more like? Well, I just want to know your holistic way to how do you look these content creators in last 22 years and how they have evolved.
To tell you very frankly, this is a very exciting time. I wish I am 22 years younger. Because this is really an exciting time. Because, see, when I started my career in advertising, even my family was confused what I'm trying to achieve. Because my family already had a business and they wanted me to join that business, right? Therefore, I was not able to kind of explain to them what I was trying to do, you know. But I think things have changed by now.
Obviously.
You know? I see a lot of my extended family, people that I know, you know, my neighbors, they've also moved on to this creative field. And the field of creative is not monotonous and it's very exciting field.
I remember you said this is not a job, this is a profession.
Exactly. That's what. In fact, people who works in advertising firm, you know, like even if they might be employed with somebody, it's not a job, it's a profession. It's like if you finish a degree of law or if you finish chartered accountancy, you have to practice it, right?
True.
Without practicing it, you will not know what exactly need to be done, or you will not have that kind of relationship that is required to kind of maybe make that jump in your profession. The similar in context to advertising as well. I feel that advertising profession, or for that matter, for a marketing profession, is a profession. It's not a job at all. You know, where because it's a very subjective thing and you need a lot of practice. And when you work with agencies like Outreach, I'm not saying just Outreach, there could be other agencies as well, you get a platform to practice what you know or what you believe, or you get a practice to sell your idea and maybe execute those ideas. And the learnings that you get, the experience that you get by executing those ideas or, you know, like working on those, create some kind of experience within you, which actually help to kind of become more successful as you move on from there. Right? Okay. That is the reason I said that it is more of a profession than a job.
And coming back to my last question, the evolution you have seen in content creators, because this question is very important for me, because I have been trying to build a business around creating content, creating video content, and we work with people, agency like yours, and and I'm really curious how, as somebody who is leading one of the biggest, one of the most respected agencies in the country, how do you see how this in last 22 years, how has this creators been evolved? And because you work with all the different ages, like people who have been in this since long, people who have recently been to this industry, how do you see the evolution of these content creators?
No, like I said, it's a very, very exciting time, because a lot of young people are wanting to be part of the creative industry, and we really welcome that. The technology has made our life much easier. Everybody can become a content creator. You just need to have an idea. But then you need to also have a respect towards the audience that you are trying to cater to. Whatever you are trying to do has to be idea driven and has to have some insights, taken, and use that insight on kind of coming with those ideas.
Now, asking you the same question from a distribution side, how do you see, because I think in past, if you have to create a TVC ad, you need to go to these major traditional media platforms, you need to buy their time. But now you could simply run an ad on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
You could simply run an ad on Instagram, be it vertical ads.
You mean to say that in terms of distribution, right? Disseminations.
Yeah, dissemination. So, two perspective about it, because I think for a brand, it has become much easier to actually, for example, let's say we take a ABC brand. Now the ABC brand does not really need to depend on all these traditional media platforms. They could simply focus on building their subscribers on YouTube, their subscribers on TikTok, Instagram. So how do you see this change? Because you have been working with the traditional industry as well, and you guys have been, I recently saw your LinkedIn post on how you have been able to achieve millions on one of your brands.
Yeah.
Sunsilk, if I can quote the name. So how do you see this? And are the old people angry about it? The old media people, because a big chunk of money has been going far from them, right? More towards the digital distribution side. And you literally don't need to pay anyone. You could simply start, if you can create a good content, you could literally reach millions of people.
No, I see it in a different way. Actually, it complements each other. It doesn't supplement. It's like a discussion that the people had when radio came into play and print was there, and people are saying that radio will kill print. But has that killed it? Not, right? It's like a discussion they had when the television came into play and people say that radio will die. But no, print, radio, television all stayed together. And when I started my career, these were the major three mediums we used to use for all our advertising campaigns, including outdoor, of course, right? And now the digital, social media, TikTok, all the other stuff, right? I think what you are trying to say here is paid media versus own media, right? Something that we pay to disseminate, like for example in a television, is a paid media, right? And there, like you have mass audiences, right? And then something that you can show it in your own channels, like your Instagram page or your YouTube channel, is your own media where you don't have to pay. You just create a good content and you hope that it goes, it is liked by many people, it is seen by many people, or it created very large impressions. But then it has created a very beautiful thing for the creative industry. Okay. Today, what is happening is there is television commercial also, which is not more than 60 seconds. Let's say it could be 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or 60 seconds, as per the objectives and the requirements. Similarly, you can also have a branded content, which helps to create a brand salience. Because now you can tell a beautiful story, which might last for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or even 4 minutes for that matters. There are many such branded stories that you see, and you even share, because you get so touched by those branded stories. And those touching moments, those emotional moments helps to create a brand salience.
And these were not possible in TVs, right?
Yeah, this is not possible in TV. That's what I'm trying to say. You cannot run a 2-minute film on television. It's going to be very, very expensive. Not because it will be expensive to show it once, because showing once is not enough. There is a threshold level of impression that you need to create in the audience mind to create to have a mind share,
to create a lasting impact.
Exactly, lasting impact, or a mind share we call it, because marketing is the business of creating mind shares. Therefore there is, depending upon the objective that we have for the media plan, it could be 3+ frequency, 4+ frequency, or 5+ frequency. That means some ad need to be shown 5 times to the same audience within a certain period of time for them to comprehend and understand that ad.
And that is also not possible in TV because retargeting is literally out of
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Therefore, that is the reason we need many spotting in televisions. And it will be very expensive to do that with 2 minutes, film.
True.
Therefore, now you have YouTube channels or Instagrams, page that you have where you can actually upload those 2 minutes or 3 minutes branded content that you have created. With the same theme, you can also create a smaller version, which is like a TV commercials of 30 seconds or 40 seconds, and you show that into televisions. Therefore, the theme is same. Something that we are trying to say is same, but maybe in a different way and a different approach. The consumer is in both the platforms or many other platforms as well.
But don't you find it alarming? Because I am 32. I am one of the, the people that I hang out are between 25 to 30, 35, or let's say at max at times it's 40. And none of my colleagues watch TV. I, being 32, meaning with an average age of 24, one of the key example of how a massive youth of Nepal is like, and we don't watch much TV. The last time I was watching TV was for sports, or maybe I would rather watch Netflix. So don't you find it alarming? Because if it's very alarming from a marketing side, and the reason I quote this is all the major media content that you see are being watched on YouTube right now. But if you compare it with West, you'll only get to see the bits and pieces on YouTube. For you to watch the full episode, you have to
go to a TV channel.
But here, almost every
they're uploading everything.
Don't you find it alarming? How have you not been convincing these TV people that this is not good? This is not good in the longer run, because if somebody watches it on, regardless, TV channel, YouTube channel, the people of our age will think, oh, I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it on TV.
Yeah.
So you alarming state, Nepalese media scene ko lai.
No, like I said, the media industry is going through a big transformations. But having said that, Anup, I should also tell you that not everyone in this country has a same socio-economic status like yourself. Okay? You have a very good exposure, right? You have very good educations, right? You live in an urban society. Not everyone is like you. Therefore, there could be brand that is very much wanting to cater to a target audience like yourself. In that consideration, maybe a digital can become a lead medium of communications, or maybe a sole medium of communications at times. But there are larger other masses who are not like you or not like me. If all the people in Nepal would be like us, we will be a different country altogether, right? Therefore, there are lot of mass chunk of other peoples also. We need to respect them. Who, I'm not saying that they do not have a digital reach. They might have, but they might not be consuming the digital content like you are consuming or like I am containing.
Or their buying decision might be more inclined to things they see it on TV or
exactly. That the impact and also the trust factor also comes in. Like, for example, I still tell my clients that if you want to create a large impact and a trustworthiness, sometimes a print can be helpful as well. Therefore, every media has a role to play. Therefore, you don't actually supplement each other. You complement each other. That's why the whole concept of IMC, Integrated Marketing Communication.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I think we are almost to a later stage of our podcast.
Sure.
Now, I am really interested to know about the business of agency. My first question to you is, how scalable this business is?
Okay. When I started my own agency, let's put it like this, the requirements of the client were largely on, like when we work with even global clients for that matter, dubbing, right? And then dissemination of those copy or creatives. To now, I think as outreach, from 5 people as outreach group, we have become more than 125 plus people today.
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
Therefore, And it's because there are a lot of other verticals that we started, which is within the advertising business.
I think you guys are the biggest in terms of employee size, in terms of
most
job opportunities you
most
guys have
probably.
created.
I cannot. There is no data, but most probably. So we started a vertical on activation, event activation, visual merchandising around 12 years back. Maybe we were the first one to do it. Why? Because one of the clients had a requirement of rural marketing at that point of time. I cannot name the brand, but there was a requirement, and we told the client that we are open to kind of experiment with this, but we do not have a know-how. Therefore, the client also helped us to get tied up with somebody in Bangladesh to start this operation. And we started a large rural activation operation with almost 16 team, and each team consists of around 12 people. That is almost 144 people going to different Haat bazaars.
Okay.
So there are 16 team working in different Haat bazaars across Nepal at that point of time. So that's how our activation business started.
I wish you could also name the brand.
Yeah, but of course I am very thankful to the client that they help us to kind of put it in a right way. We did a pilot with around 2 or 3 teams in the beginning. When it becomes successful, they scale it up to almost 16 teams, and it went on to almost a year, and it became a big success story for that client as well. Similarly, when the digital was becoming big, social media was becoming big, one of the clients said that we want to venture into social media, and if you are not able to provide that service, we would like to look into somebody from India. So then I told him that, why India? Give it to me, and I can hire somebody from India and make this happen. And that's how our digital business started. Right?
We started a whole digital wing.
Yeah, we started a whole digital wing with one client, and actually only 3 people. One person from India, and then he hired another 2 people. That's how we started. Today we have almost 30 plus 35.
Just on the digital wing.
On the digital business itself. Therefore, that's how we started, right? And then there are many such stories. Therefore, if you are willing to collaborate, if you are willing to skill yourself, if you are willing to learn, obviously it is scalable. And having said that, there are situations currently, like for example, the business of advertising in Nepal in the past has been largely driven by creative, very frankly. There was not much of a planning or strategic role. But with the changes in policy recently, and also the mindset of the client, and also the whole concept of bringing Nepalization in the process, there's a big role of planning, and therefore we've also brought in a team structure within my agency for the planning now. Right? But having said that, my team structures in planning are relatively maybe less experienced. Therefore, we have also collaborated with few people from Bangladesh or Sri Lanka to help us out. Because of technology, it has become so easy, right? You can have all the meetings virtually. They don't have to travel here all the time. Therefore, now in my team, like planning and some other areas as well, there are people who are helping us as an advisor or consultant from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and India. And they will not do it every year or every time. Like they are doing it. They did it in the beginning, and they are still doing it for some clients, but it is, in a process, the team in Nepal is also learning,
True.
They have become more capable. Their capacity and their skill has really enhanced. Their confidence level has also increased.
Out of all the wings that you guys have started, I believe it is the digital wing that has the highest number of growth year by year, because
in the recent time, post-COVID, yes, you're right. All clients are looking at digital very, very seriously.
And it is much easier for them to go with your digital wing because the trust factor that you guys have built.
Not only that, see, like I said, the business of advertising now is more about IMC, integrated marketing communications. Therefore, when they go with us, it's not just a digital. We can kind of create a similar team.
End-to-end.
Yeah, end-to-end solutions. It's a complete IMC, solution that we can give. We can even do activations. We can do traditional media. We can do planning.
One of the most repeated word in this in 1 hour of podcast that you have used is structure.
Yeah.
And I remember this word you have been even on our last 2 meetings. You have been using structure clients, structure process, structure beyond everything.
Yeah.
And even I can see even when it comes to personal branding of Ujaya, I think it has always been the outreach first. Right, and maybe it is again the structure of building a business, of putting a business forward and not just yourself.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us more about the attachment of Ujaya with the word structure?
See, business of advertising is not about individual. It is not freelancing. It is about team. And as in a team, like we've just gone through the FIFA World Cup, I love the fact that Messi won it because I was really vouching for him. But only Messi doesn't make that win possible, right?
It's the team.
There was that Martinez as well. There were other people in the team as well who make sure that Argentina won FIFA, right? But everybody has a different role to play, right? There is a role of a Martinez as a goalkeeper, and the confidence that he brings to the table to that team. There is a role of a defense. There is a role of a playmaker, right? Messi also does some kind of play in the role of playmaker sometime, and there's a role of a striker,
True.
right? What do you think, like when the Messi takes a ball and he decides not to assist and put it himself in the goalpost instead of giving it to his other team members? Do you think that goal will be possible?
You have seen with other players who have done that,
and it doesn't become possible, right?
True.
Therefore, the business of advertising is all about team. In fact, I am the lucky one who gets to sign in front of all of you. I'm not the one who is working. These all my people behind me who is actually working, who is actually putting those ideas across.
No,
I'm the one who is signing in front of all of you.
Being humble and modest.
Yeah.
Which as a leader, I think you should be, obviously. So for you, the structuring things is more about believing on the team, making the process through team.
Yeah.
And putting the team forward, or let's say the company forward.
Yeah. Because like I said, in the business of advertising, it's not just creative people, it's not just a business people. It's a combination of both business and the creative people. Like within the creative also, there's creative directors, there's art directors, there's visualizer, there's graphic designers, there's copywriters, there's content writers. Within the business as well, there's a client relations, there's media relations, there's a planning head. There are all whole lot of other people that is involved. And of course, there is again some people behind the scene like admin, finance, account. They are also making sure that things are smooth in the front, right?
True.
The front end.
There is one very interesting thing that is happening in TikTok. So it's not yet released in Nepal, but there is a thing this called Create a Marketplace, TikTok.com, which is basically it helps a brands to directly find a creator, put some of its creative brief on it, and the creator will start producing content for that particular client.
Sure.
Do you see this trend changing the way agency would be operating in days to come? Because I think one of the big part of agency was to bring the creators and the brands together in one place. Now that is being done by your technology like TikTok, and I believe TikTok is more than just an app; it's an institution with the skill they are moving on.
Yeah.
So do you see the other way to frame the same question would be, how do you see in next 10 years agency model will be evolving?
The agency model has to evolve for sure, and is evolving all across the world. And I'm sure we are going to also adopt and learn from those evolved models from other countries to this country. It might take some time over here, but obviously we are also, because with digital, we also have access to what is happening across the world, and we can learn from it. But having said that, the role of the agency is not just to create. The role of the agency also sometimes is to demystify, I would say, demystify the brief. The pain point, the marketing problems, sitting with the client. That's why I said that this is a very special relationship. It is not the vendor-client relationship. It's the client-partner relationship.
And I also remember you said this is not this is idea business.
Yeah, this is a business of idea. The business of advertising is the business of idea, very frankly. And that's where it is moving to. And if you have
that would be very difficult to automate.
That is not, because it is not just about, like, even when it comes to data, it's not just about spreadsheets. It's also about stories.
And it's also about analysis you could do after
Exactly. It's also about the stories.
True.
It's not just data doesn't help.
True.
If you can interpret those data to create a rightful story, then only it helps. It's about this carbon human being. We are all emotional people, right? We connect more when we are emotional about each other.
Very true.
Right? Therefore, that's what the brand is trying to do: connect with their audiences or their market emotionally.
There is this one concern that while I talk to a lot of creators and marketers, this is the thing called exclusivity.
Okay.
Nepal being it's not a very big market when you compare it with our neighbors, and the exclusivity makes it so hard for an individual creator or marketer to make a living, because if you're only working with one client, and so how do you see the whole exclusivity thing going on?
There is no exclusivity for content creators. Is there an exclusivity for the agency? There could be exclusivities, depending on the contract that is in place and the business in place.
No, well, there are exclusivity in terms of if the creator is also a distributor. So, for example, if a creator distributes a certain form of content on his platform, for a good amount of time, he is advised to not include his competitors, because. And that is understandable.
No, like for example, if you are creating your content for one brand, you would not want to have a competitor brand coming in there, right? That is for sure. That is, I think we need to also have a professional ethics,
True.
And that is more important than anything else, There is no percentage when it comes to ethics. Either it is 0 or it is 100.
There is no gray side.
Yeah, there is no gray side there. Therefore, when it comes to competitors, like exclusivities, and if you are working with certain brand or certain content, that you make sure that you maintain that, right? There is no.
And when it comes to agencies, how do you guys see exclusivities?
It depends upon the contract, because generally with all our businesses we have contract in place, and if the contract requirements are the exclusivity requirements, then we go by that, we abide by that. But of course there are some business that they need to also guarantee.
True.
Because otherwise how would we maintain the team that is required to service those clients? We need to also have a team in place to service the client.
True. So we are almost on the last stage of this podcast. I would love to have you for a couple of more hours to talk, because I think this is no less than a therapy for me, for someone like me who is pretty new on this industry, and someone like you who has been here since decades, and it's an amazing learning process. Thank you so much. My last question to you would be, now what's the North Star? What's next? What's next for Outreach? What's next for Ujaya? What's next? What do you plan to achieve in next 1 decade?
First of all, I would like to, also, thank you for inviting me here. And I see a lot of good work that you are doing, particularly in a niche segment. And I feel that niche is the future of communication.
Oh, 100%.
Because that's how you connect well with your consumers or your target audience. Therefore, my best wishes to you and all your efforts that you are doing, and I also take this opportunity to welcome many youngsters like yourself, to this industry, because that's the only way this marketing profession can grow and this industry can grow. Therefore, to evolve the marketing ecosystem, we need all different sort of people, including people like yourself, a lot of other younger people to join our industry, and I welcome them all. When it comes to, I think, like I said, because the industry is going through the transformations, and I see myself in this industry, hopefully, if my health, I will be here for some time. Therefore, I see myself learning, evolving with the industry, bringing new practices, best practices from other markets to these markets. And I would like to work to build, advertising ecosystem or marketing ecosystem in a more professional way in this country.
Lovely. हजुरले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ आई थिङ्क एउटा कस्तो सेभ गरिदिनु भएको छ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ नयाँ आउने मान्छेलाई एकदमै सजिलो हुनेवाला छ र भएको पनि छ हैन। कतिपय कन्टेक्स्टमा आई थिङ्क हामीले प्रोफेसनलिजमको कुरा, स्ट्रक्चरिङको कुरा आई थिङ्क अब हामीले क्लाइन्टलाई सिकाउनु पर्दैन होला, क्लाइन्टलाई भन्दै भयो कि हाम्रो स्ट्रक्चर यस्तो छ हैन। त्यसको लागि चाहिँ धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद हैन। द न्यू जेनेरेसन विल अलवेज बी थ्याङ्कफुल एन्ड शुड बी थ्याङ्कफुल हैन टु द पिपल हु हेभ त्यो हुन्छ नि एउटा हिपहपमा छ क्या नेपालको बाटो भनेर होइन सो एडभर्टाइजिङको बाटो खनिदिनु भएको पिच गरिदिनु भएकोमा होइन अनि थ्याङ्कफुल अनि या आई होप आजको एपिसोडहरू तपाईँलाई रमाइलो लाग्ला दाइ के छ एन्डिङ वर्ड्स हाम्रो म्यासिभ युथ छ हाम्रो यो अडियन्स होइन एकदम निश छ भेरी एज अ नेम सजेस्ट डुवर्स भने जस्तै एकदमै गर्न मन लाग्ने एकदमै स्पेसिफिक केही इनोभेसन गर्ने या स्टार्टअप गर्ने या खतरा काम गर्ने टाइपको अडियन्सहरू छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई होइन सो केही छ हजुरलाई एन्डिङ वर्ड्स जाँदा जाँदै
Like I said, marketing ecosystem is evolving very, very fast, and with this evolving ecosystem, we need much higher talent requirements than before. There is a whole new domains of professions within marketings, which is not just conventional, but unconventional way as well. Like, for example, we need people in MIS, we need people in data, we need people in consumer insights, we need people in planning and research, we need people in media disseminations, we need people in public relations, we need people in media relations, therefore, I really hope that a lot of young people like yourself are joining this industry and making a good career out of it.
Thank you so much. So guys, thank you so much for watching this far. I know there's tons of takeaways to take from. Watch it again, and I'm gonna invite Ujaya again.
Hopefully, yeah.
So till then, you guys take care. We'll be back again with another amazing episode. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Dai. धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद.
ठीक छ?
एकदमै.
Hopefully it works out well for all of us, right? एकदमै.